Hello, everyone. We are here for this special edition of Living TV news related to the crisis in Wuhan and in China because of the coronavirus. We are here today with Katerina Han, special contributor for Living magazine for China and matters related to China, influencer, author, and again, contributor for the magazine. Welcome, Katerina, and thank you for taking the time to meet us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this is a special edition because, of course, we are all aware about the virus, the coronavirus that spread from China. But the reason why we are doing this special is because of the misrepresentation and misinformation about such an important topic. A topic that is about a health emergency. It's about an emergency that is affecting hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, dozens of millions of people. And unfortunately, what we have seen in the media so far is quite disappointing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of I think overall create this kind of panic, one way or another from either from China or other countries worldwide. Yeah, it's a very serious matter. That's why we feel like we want to discuss about this and give a kind of slightly different take, our perspective that kind of stand that maybe the audience wouldn't hear it from the mainstream media out there.
Yeah, because of course the main reason why we are doing this is because we have a privileged access sources of information. Of course, Katerina Han is originally from Beijing. She speaks Chinese. I, because of my job, I'm part of some chats on WeChat with friends in media and not who are Chinese. And what we see in these sources is quite different from what we see in the mainstream media. So first of all, is important to say that what is the magnitude of this crisis? Because this crisis hit China right before the celebration of the New Year.
Yeah, the biggest, by the way, it's the biggest New Year, biggest holiday celebration in mainland China, worldwide for overseas Chinese, not just Chinese.
How long the celebration usually lasts?
Well, the official celebration, it actually goes, including the official public holiday. The overall celebration is basically 15 days, starting from the day one, which is right after the Lunar New Year Eve. That's right after that. So you calculate it from day one until on the 15th, which is Lantern Festival, altogether 15th. But before that, about 2 weeks or so, especially people from China already starting to move around, go back to where their hometown is. So it's the biggest migration movement
in the world.
In human history. Yeah. So it's in terms of human movement, it's very important time, but also in terms of people's celebration. Imagine here, think about July 4th or Thanksgiving or Christmas. Maybe all those 3 times combined. That's the kind of magnitude people pay tribute to this holiday.
And not only that, is also the time where basically people, families gather together.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because it's the time of the year where basically the country stops and allows people to travel all over China and all over the world to see their families.
See the family, also travel with the audience probably out there already aware of that wherever you are. Especially if where you're from is is more like a tourist destination. I mean, mainland Chinese use this opportunity because it's ranging from a week to 2 weeks time. People use this opportunity to travel abroad, to rejuvenate themselves, overseas holiday. So they also bring, basically it's the economy to abroad, whether it's Australia or anywhere else in Asia, Europe, USA,
So basically, in order to help, especially our American friends, to understand, imagine a Thanksgiving that lasts for 3 weeks, and instead of 50 million people, which are the fellow Americans who travel usually during Thanksgiving, the number is how many millions?
Hundreds.
We're talking about hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah.
So that said, to give you a better idea, is that Wuhan is in a valley. The valley is the twin valley of Silicon Valley, and we're going to explain now why, and the twin city with Chicago. So because Wuhan is at the very center of China, it's like our Midwest. And coincidentally, also the importance of Wuhan is like Chicago, is where the architecture is fantastic. Education and culture is amazing. Technology, medical research. And the same thing is like in...
also agricultural, in terms of the agricultural industry is important.
And is a transportation hub.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because basically being at the center of China, the super fast trains. So in order to give you an idea, to try to relate, because that's what the media are not doing. They are portraying this crisis like bad, far China has a problem. And now because China has a problem, we have a problem. And what is worse is, and it's I'm very sad to say this because I'm an American, I'm born American, who grew up abroad and then came back. To me, is really sad to see that we don't learn from our mistakes. And in this case, really, the attitude towards the Chinese people is almost giving to Chinese this mark. Instead of a red mark, of a yellow mark, in order to say each Chinese potentially can kill you because can spread the virus. And this is plenty wrong and despicable, because here what we have is an emergency.
Yes.
An emergency that is affecting mothers, fathers, sisters, grandfathers,
everyone,
daughters, brothers. We are talking about real people. And something else that we were talking about this morning. Where are all these humanitarians? Where are all these Hollywood stars who fill their mouth because the glaciers are melting and because the penguins are dying in Antarctica? We are talking about real people who are dying. And where is the compassion? All these activist group here in America who fight for the right of 0.0% minorities, of 5% minorities. Here we have Chinese overseas here represent between 7-9% of Americans. Chinese who are Americans, born in America. And then all the immigration that we have in China. All this compassion, where is gone, Katerina?
Yeah, definitely. It's very sad. I mean, think about it. Chinese population, 1.4 billion people. I mean, with as we all know, with the current situation of globalization, whether you like it or not, people travels. You cannot stop people travel. But in this case, we just heard, there's a travel ban. There's a airline cancel their flights to and out of from China, but you cannot stop air travel, wind travel. So this case is really a human crisis, a humanitarian crisis, and I think what we have not heard enough from the mainstream media or from the, as you mentioned, humanitarian organizations or
the UN. We were saying, where is the UN?
The UN, WHO. I mean, we heard WHO declared this emergency, and then
global
what?
health emergency.
Yes,
yeah.
and then what? And Red Cross organization. I mean, the Red Cross organization in Wuhan. Of course, we learned that's of course that's happening. But where is the Red Cross International or and all those humanitarian ambassadors, celebrities? I mean, this is the time that it's more important than think about what makeup to put on your face or what dress to show at red carpet.
Exactly.
I mean, this is really a humanitarian crisis, and
if Hollywood was actually concerned, since we have the Oscars upcoming, we should have a fundraising to help the people of China.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah,
you are so progressive and liberal, Hollywood. Why you're not doing something like this? Why you're not even talking about something like this?
Yeah. So again, we'll talk about the directly affected right now. It's the second biggest economy in the world. This is the people of the country that President Trump just signed this agreement between U.S. and China.
Trade agreement for $200 billion.
Exactly. So if the whole China, I mean, we know Wuhan now shut down, is also affected other surrounding countries and main cities in China. Imagine, China, the worst scenario is not functioning. I mean, how does that help the American farmers? How does it help for the Chinese people and the business fulfill their commitment for this U.S. trade agreement? So I think we have a message here, which is simply that just to show this is a time for us, not just to stay away from it, but also really, just to giving help, giving really compassion and joint forces help, like whether it's research team or medical supplies. I mean, where's that? I haven't seen really any news that really coming from the international community, like really truly show compassion.
Despite the fact that we know, because here we live in New York, the Chinese community in Flushing has been absolutely 100% responsive. They have called conferences in order to explain what's going on. Many societies and organizations have started fundraising. Overseas Chinese took action immediately. And again, something else that we want to point out is that every time we see images of China, it's always this brownish, low definition image of these rural parts of China. We have linked to this video. You can watch the tourist promo video of Wuhan. You will see these are videos in 4K, and you see the beauty of this city, a city that has 11 million people.
And the history of, as a Chinese, I'm proud to say, with a 3,500 history.
Exactly, 3,500 years of history.
Yes.
And if you love kung fu movies, if you watch historic soap opera, if you are passionate about epic movies, that is the area of China where, for example, the stories that you've seen in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it comes from there. It's like those beauty, those colors, those traditions come from that area. And it's a city of 11 million people. It's 5 times Chicago. And it's 5 times more beautiful than Chicago. Imagine if we, here in America, have a humanitarian crisis where they lock down Chicago. You cannot travel across the United States anymore. On Thanksgiving, span over 3 weeks. This is what's happening. And instead of trying to relate, if you and now there is the chance, it's not like 15 years ago. You can watch these heartbreaking videos of families torn apart. And I read a message that because of a crisis, an ambulance took the grandmother from a family, and then because she died, they sent him directly to cremation, and the family didn't even have the chance to say the last salute. It's really heartbreaking, and I have to say that so far the response from the Trump administration, as usual, has been good or okay, because they put doctors in to the forefront, and that was great, because they treat it is for what it is. This is a medical health emergency, so let the doctors speak. And what the doctors said, the task force appointed by the president says that actions were taken, that the situation, they're monitoring the situation. Of course, the situation is evolving, is developing, is transforming. But U.S. has manifested the intention of sending experts to help China. So this is great.
Yeah.
This is a good first step, but comes from the government. Ironically enough, all these sensitive liberal medias, ultra progressive. Where is the support? Where is the fundraising campaigns? You don't see nothing, zero, nada. And this is really shocking. It's really shocking for like legions of people who fill their mouth with nice words, but as always is talk to talk or walk to walk. And in this case, we should understand that if we care about our economy, consider the numbers. Caterina, you just wrote this article, this amazing article for Levine about the numbers of Chinese buyers and consumers.
Oh, yeah.
So if you think that this is a Chinese problem, this is a global problem, because Chinese are feeding the world with their wealth. The luxury market, the middle class, the lower class, traveling, tourism, services, luxury products, cars, everything. And if you think that this is not going to affect our economy, you are very wrong. As a matter of fact, you can already see the consequences. Here in New York, you can already see that something has started changing. Because also the Chinese community is very vital, is one of the most dynamic here in America, and especially here in New York. So it's really and in this case, something important that we need to stress out, Caterina, is also that here what happened, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't really read this or seen this anywhere, that two things. That there was the crisis with SARS. At that time, mistakes were made. In this time, the World Health Organization has praised President Xi and the Chinese government for the way they handled the crisis. Because the real problem was the local government of Wuhan that basically mishandled this crisis, because it was Christmas time, was before New Year's Eve. They thought they were in control. It turned out they were in control. So the central government got pissed off because basically they weren't noticed about in time about this problem. As soon as the central government, and here, please keep aside communist, non-communist, politics, not politics. Here is about good government. And the government here took action. America has praised the government. The World Health Organization has praised the government. So, because this is a time where we have to solve a problem that nobody wanted to cause, of course. Nobody is stupid or irresponsible to cause something like this.
Yeah. Well, most importantly, we're talking about people here. It's not like, as you said, this is not the time to labeling or name calling. This is time, again, it's really to show compassion, which sadly that personally I haven't read anything from the news that it kind of show, the support, a compassion and help from the international community. And as you mentioned earlier, Wuhan is the Twin Valley. They have an agreement with Silicon Valley. It's a twin sister with Chicago. Where are those support just from this particular two cities? or
Considering that Apple,
communities.
all the
Yes,
manufacturing is in
yes,
China for these
yes,
big American corporations.
right, exactly, yeah. So we have on the board. We just recently saw this big poster. It's not a poster. It's a
Yeah.
LED
In Times Square,
Times Square.
by NASDAQ,
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Be Strong
Be
China.
Strong China.
Yeah.
I mean, I really wish that I could, or for Chinese, all over the world, not just in China, if they see this sign from all the major cities in Tokyo, in you know, in big other cities, France, Italy, UK, Australia, if they see these signs everywhere from other international cities, I mean, imagine that kind of, you know, the human, the spiritual encouragement that will give to the Chinese people. I mean,
Yes.
it's it will help them a lot. Seriously, yeah.
And so why this is important? This is important because this is a tragedy, but also we can show the best side.
Yes, exactly. This is the time.
This is the time we can show as
Yeah.
Americans,
Right.
that we can be better. And in this case, remember, 70% of U.S. debt is owned by China, and 70% of the products manufactured in China is pushed both by America. So the relationship between these two countries is necessary, is good, is constructive, and is peaceful. If we show our best side in this case, in this opportunity, after President Trump signed this historical agreement, China and the people of China have a big heart, and if we can help them in this particular case, we give a hand. We will have back much more, because Chinese
will give back more. Trust me.
Because that's the heart and the tradition of China, is because because the Chinese people have dignity. They won't annoy you. They won't bother you asking for help, because that's the strength of their heart.
That's what they're doing right now, by the way.
Exactly. They're not complaining. They're not whining. They're just trying to work hard to solve this problem. And if we do the right thing now, this could be an historical landmark for the relationship in the world, where we prove that at the level of government, when it comes to politics, we can have our differences, we can have our opinions, we can also harshly disagree. But when it comes to people, we don't see race, we don't see color, we don't see politics, we don't see religion, because it's the chance to build the planet Earth 2.0. If we waste this opportunity,
remember, one world.
Exactly.
We actually do not have, wherever you are, there's nowhere else you can directly escape from, right?
Exactly.
One world, remember? One world, one dream.
Exactly.
As they say.
And
wait, that's the slogan of Olympic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
One world, one dream.
Yeah, and so it is again is more than just talking. Is taking action, and the purpose of this video is to make you think. Is to you have access now to the web. You can find this information. Don't follow what the mainstream media are telling you, because what they want you to believe is that China is this world in low definition, where people eat in the street, and that's why, because they live with animals, so that's why they get this kind of virus, which is so incredibly racist and discriminating, that it's as an American, I'm really embarrassed. So hopefully, if you check the links here in the description of this video. Maybe they can be an eye-opener. Maybe they can contribute, not to change your mind. We are not here to change your mind. We are not here to run some propaganda for the Chinese government. Here is because we have friends, we have family, we have relationship, we have co-workers. We see this with our own eyes. And it hurts us to see the lies, the misrepresentation, and the misinformation about a national tragedy and a global tragedy. And also, we have privileged access to some sources and some information, so we definitely know better. So, again, we are not asking you to change your mind. We are not asking you to believe everything we say. We are telling you, see by yourself. Check the links. Go see, keep yourself informed, and again, this is an historical opportunity we have to show a different side, to improve our relationship throughout the world.
Yes, again, I mean, what we already said, we kind of first of all question or ask the question, where are all the international support or humanitarian efforts given by the international community. But second, I just want to remind reader, wherever you are, just just sending a tweet, just say something like, "Be strong, China. Be strong, Wuhan or Hubei." If Chinese people from see that, like sending that from USA or anywhere else
in the world,
that's just one message would help them a lot to get over this. So our message is, please be kind. We're all human beings. We have one planet.
Exactly. Yeah. So be strong, China.
Yeah, you'll get over this. We are with you. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.